Good morning, everyone.
Morning, morning.
Right. Go ahead and mute everyone until we open it up for questions and answers at the end. Okay. All right. I want to respect everyone's time this morning. We anticipate this to be no more than a 30-minute webinar. I know everyone is busy working from home today, so we will respect your time. But good morning. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning. I'm Kelly Mantel, Vice President of Strategy at Alley Cox and Company Marketing. As you can see, I'm streaming from my home in Modesto, California, as our team is on our third week working from home, as many of you are, and what seems like the rest of the country. For those of you that don't know, Alley Cox and Company is based out of Turlock. We are a digital marketing agency that focuses primarily on the ag, food, and beverage industries. We work with many of the household names that you know and trust, and many of the leaders here in the Central Valley. I hope you had an opportunity to attend the webinar yesterday that Alley Cox, our fearless leader, hosted. She talked about how to ensure your brand comes out on top during these uncertain times. If you didn't get a chance to watch that, you can head over to any of our social media channels, as well as our YouTube page and website to view yesterday's webinar. Great content. We'll be recapping just a little bit of that today and then talking about some other really great tips to maintain e-commerce sales. So if you're on today's webinar, it's likely because you sell a product online or you're wanting to sell a product online. Today, I'll be talking about 5 ways to maintain e-commerce sales, especially in a time of business crisis like we are in now. And a little bit later in the webinar, I'll invite Jeremy Tretovic, owner and winemaker at Jeremy Wine Company, to talk about how he's adjusted to the new way of doing business. I'm really excited to talk to him and see how he has pivoted. But let's get started. The first way to ensure your e-commerce sales stay strong during this time is to address your messaging. So Allie talked a lot about this yesterday in her webinar, but it is still true and the same for any type of sales, especially e-commerce. You've got to address your messaging. You need to communicate and demonstrate that your brand acknowledges the state of affairs right now. Now, this doesn't need to be a complete refactor of your homepage or a Hollywood film video of you talking about COVID-19. This can be as simple as a blog or an article post that you've linked on a small banner on your website. Really, this needs to be your position, the brand's position on today's crisis. It can be a message from the CEO or the owner. It should be a message to your customers, stating what you're doing to continue to serve customers right now. This should address changes in how you're operating, changes in business hours, stating any changes to regularly scheduled events that you host. The bottom line here is don't leave people guessing as to how you've adjusted your business, guessing what your new hours or adjusted hours might be, guessing what a delay in production might have, or delays in shipping time. Make your message abundantly clear to your web visitors. Let them know that you fully understand the implications, the impact that the current crisis has had to business and them accessing your product. The second is address your photography. So be culturally sensitive and have relevant imagery. The whole world right now is at home. They're with their families. They're not in tasting rooms, bars, restaurants, or public events. So swap out your photography with customers or models enjoying your product at home or in a virtual environment. If you're a winery or brewery, replace photography of customers in your tasting rooms with photography of customers in their homes or backyards. If you have imagery of large groups or events you host, probably be a good idea to change those images to smaller group gatherings or family gatherings. The third way to maintain e-commerce sales during this time is to increase digital engagement. We're going to talk mostly about this today. People are on their devices. Let's face it, the whole world is at home right now, surfing the web, ranting and raving and airing their feelings about the current pandemic all over social media right now. People are on their devices. They're on the internet. So leverage this opportunity to target customers right where they are, and they are on their devices. They're on the internet right now. So one way you can do that is through email marketing. Now's the time to reach people in the inbox. Google recently reported that people are spending 4 times the average amount of time reading email than they were before. So now's the time to get to people in their inbox. I'd love to actually show you an example of some really timely and relevant email marketing that I've received recently. Let me share my screen here. All right, this is a great email that I received actually from Jeremy Wine Company a couple of days ago, and so just relevant to the time that we're living in. Drink all your quarantine wine. Well, of course we all have. We've gone through our supply, right? So this is just totally relevant to the times that we're living in. This brand isn't sending an email that is not addressing what we're all going through. He's addressed it here with some great fun imagery, mentioned exactly how you can pick up some products from a curbside pickup or at the tasting room, included a promotion, real short to the point email. And I'm sure as a brand owner and manager, he didn't spend a week putting this together. He pivoted quickly, pushed this out, and reached customers immediately. Another great email I received is from this brand that I've fallen in love with called Cauliflower. Totally on point. Great messaging here. They were running a sweepstakes on April 1st to pay your bills. Another really great, just culturally relevant, fun, brand specific email that I just thought was totally right on. All right, let's come back to my lovely face. Okay, so let's move right on to the next piece in digital marketing. So social media is the next way you can really focus on maintaining e-commerce sales right now. Our digital marketing director, Marvin Hooker, will be discussing how to use Facebook and Instagram to ignite product sales on the third webinar in our series on Tuesday, April 7th at 9:30. So if you haven't signed up for that, please do so. That's going to be some great content. But in talking about social media, now's the time to get clever and relevant with your social media content. Think about the content that you're currently sharing. Once again, if you're a winery, if you're a brewery, look at the photography. If you're sharing event photography or tasting room photography, think about showing more photography of customers enjoying this in home. This might be a great opportunity to share some of the user-generated content of your customers using your product in their homes, in their living rooms, in their backyards with their friends and family. Another thing you can do to ignite and really drive sales and visitors to your e-commerce website is live streaming on social media. People are watching Facebook and Instagram stories now like they watch TV. They're going from one live story to the next. So if you're a beverage brand, this would be a great opportunity to do live or virtual tastings. If you're a food brand, you could do a live tasting of cooking demos. Ag brands, this is for you too. This is a great opportunity to do a behind the scenes on the farm, in production, or along the supply chain. People would love to see that. Be human. Show the human side of the brand. People are looking for authenticity when it comes to social media. They're looking for authenticity when it comes to brands, and they're looking to find that in social media. This is where you can be authentic. This is where you can be human. According to a recent Salesforce survey, 54% of millennials use social media to review a brand before making a purchase. 82% of those millennials make a purchase from an ad or post on social media. Here's some more great data. The top 500 retailers active on social media reported a whopping $6.5 billion in online sales from social media last year alone. So people are buying product through social media. So if you're not leveraging this opportunity, now is the time. The next piece on digital engagement is adding a chat feature to your website. So people have questions. They're trying to purchase your product. They want to know more about your product. They want to know how quickly they can get it. If there's changes in your operations and shipping times, adding a chat feature is a great way to quickly and accessibly chat with and communicate with your customers right on your website. But here's the thing, you want to make sure that you are staying in tune and on top of the chat feature. So don't allow customers to send a chat and wait on chat for 5-10 minutes before someone reaches out or gets back to them. So if you're going to use the feature, make sure you've got dedicated resources to answer any customer or online requests. All right, fourth step of the five ways that I'll be discussing today is understanding the customer journey. Now's the time to audit your website. Identify hangups, pain points on your website, points that are just a frustration for somebody trying to view content or purchase your product. Especially now in a time of crisis, people are more demanding on the ease of purchase. So they're purchasing everything right now. People are buying toilet paper, they're buying water, they're buying all sorts of products, consumer products, business products online right now. Make it easy for them to do that. So you want to audit how quickly can someone get to your product page? How many clicks does it take to get to your product page? How many clicks does it take to get from your product page to a completed purchase? You also want to audit your product photography and descriptions. Now, how old is your product photography? Is it a packaging from 10 years ago? Is it from unclear photography or photography that does not reflect your product in a really great light? Why don't you take the time now to adjust your photography, take new photos of the product? People are on your website, they want to know what they're purchasing. Talking about your website, you need to amp up your customer service. This is where people are buying product on your website. Be present, be available, answer the phone when they call that 800 number or your local office line within a ring or two. Don't leave people waiting. As they're online, they have so many more opportunities to purchase products. So don't be the one that they pass over because you didn't answer the chat feature, because you didn't pick up the phone, or because it was too difficult to purchase the product through your website. And this is really where we help many of our clients tune up their e-commerce store to fix some of these issues, to make sure they're maintaining e-commerce sales. And the fifth piece, and the fifth way to ensure you're maintaining e-commerce sales right now is to use digital marketing. Google and social are the way to do that. This is really where our agency helps our clients succeed. Having a strategic digital advertising plan is vital to selling product online. Knowing what keywords people are using when looking for a product or brand like yours is absolutely important. Knowing how to play the Google SEO game to get search listings at the top of page one. Using ads to drive people to your products in one click. That is what your focus needs to be, is digital marketing. And lastly, on Amazon, if you sell a consumer packaged goods, CPG product, you absolutely need to be on Amazon. That is the place where you could totally take product sales to the next level if you can, but you have to do it right. Just like any marketing, you can't just slap something up and expect it to perform well. I'd love to show you a couple examples real quickly before I invite Jeremy to the conversation of some great Amazon product listings, some great rules of thumb you can apply to an Amazon product listing and also to your product listings on your website. So let's jump over to Amazon here. Okay, here is a brand called Mavuno. They sell dried fruit. Great product page here. They've got several photos of their product, their packaged product, very well taken. What the product looks like outside of the packaging. A lifestyle photo of the type of person that might be purchasing their product, an active person or someone working from home. They've also included a video of their product. These are all great things to tell your product story. Lots of different options here. Over 516 ratings, 24 answered questions. They've included a description of the product here that's very easy to read. As I scroll down here some, they've invested the time in putting together a great history and background of the company, where the product is sourced. So already you're starting to get a feel for the brand, a feel for the product. You want to know where the product comes from? Well, it comes from South Africa and some of the smaller farming cooperatives that this company has partnered with. So you've already built some loyalty, built some trust, have some credibility with this brand. So this is a great example of an Amazon storefront. A not so great example, a brand called Tropic Field. Now I just did a basic search of another company selling dried mangoes on Amazon. 24 ratings. They've got one product shot here. And you can just, I mean, do I need to say more? Not a very well descripted product description. And well, here's their complete product description here. No information about the company, no information about the product, but a great advertisement from Amazon about Jack Ryan, which is a great series. I would encourage you to watch that. I enjoyed it. So do Amazon and do it right. This is where we're helping our clients every day. I would love to talk with you about this if you have interest in doing so. So those were your 5 steps, 5 ways to maintain e-commerce sales. The first was to address your messaging. So look at your website, look at what you're saying about current events. The next is to address photography. The following step and the following way is to increase digital engagement. So social media, digital marketing, adding chat on your website. The fourth was to understand the customer journey, auditing your website, auditing how quickly and easily it is to purchase product. And the fifth was to use digital marketing to target your customers. So we'll be sending out a recap after this email, after this webinar, of all the details we've talked about here in these 5 ways you can maintain e-commerce sales. But I would love to invite Jeremy Tretrovic to the conversation. As I mentioned, Jeremy is a local winemaker and owner of Jeremy Wine Company based in Lodi, California. And let me get him in on the conversation here. All right. Jeremy, you there?
Good morning, Kelly. Thank you for including me in this.
Absolutely. So Jeremy, of course, the beverage industry, the retail space, the restaurant space has completely been turned upside down the past couple of weeks. What have you done to pivot and change along with the current events in the past couple of weeks?
You pulled up the email, and initially, of course, like everyone that you work on this business, you have a certain flow to it. It seemed like pretty much overnight they shut down our primary route. We're about 95% direct to consumer straight out the door of our tasting room. And so, you know, Monday morning after the Sunday shutdown, we were like, wow, all right, our business has just changed. What do I need to do now? And frankly, I was totally paralyzed for a couple of days. I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to bleed cash for 3 months. And then it just kind of pivoted naturally. I started really digging deep in my creative side, and we started tapping into our Facebook channel. Instagram is a really big one for us. and then of course the email blast. And I started with a simple message on my first email blast, and we saw an overwhelming response out of it. It absolutely blew us away. And what I found is continuing to tap these weekly emails and then also intermixing with our social media, we have found that our sales, instead of being on their average, we're actually probably at about 150% of where we normally are. But these are very different. So we had to recognize early that our customers, we can't engage them in the traditional way of them walking in this tasting room and talking to them.
Right.
We had to give them alternate routes. And one of the fastest ones you covered there was a chat feature. Within about 2 days, I put a chat feature on the website, and I found like, it's like fishing. You know, you're sitting there and you activate the chat feature and you're doing your work, and then all of a sudden somebody pops up, hey, I want to buy some wine. I have a question about it. And so you're like, hey, fish on. You start working with them. And we found that every touch point, I shifted our phone system internally again. You covered all these things to make sure that it wasn't ringing through to a virtual assistant. It was going directly into somebody answering it. And then I've directed my staff to be more on top of being faster engaging, faster in responding. And we also recognized that our website wasn't that strong. I know there are some hurdles in there. And so the chat feature was one of the first things that I could do in there to alleviate some of the pinch points in our website. And then also making sure in our emails to call it out and say, hey, if you're having trouble, call the tasting room, we'll take care of it for you.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. So, of course, you understand all of our customers now are at home. They're on social media. They're looking to the internet. They're looking at apps. They're looking at websites to purchase products. How have you leveraged digital marketing to drive sales?
I think one of the first things for me to get over was the perfection hurdle. You know, perfection is something that I tend to want to, get it perfectly right, make sure that my message is exactly, well thought through, and that we have as a team kind of curated over and over it. And I found that I need to move faster. I think our business environment is changing. Our consumer habits are changing so quickly right now that I think it was more important for me to get those messages out and be good enough and then refine on the fly. But I felt internally I had to move faster, be more creative on the pieces that I was putting together.
And of course, for brands, or if you're not in Jeremy's position where you've got many years of creative and design experience, leaning on an agency like ours to help pivot and make that type of marketing happen really quickly is what you need to do in a time like this. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining us on the webinar today. I'd love to open up for some questions and answers to the rest of our viewers today. Let me unmute everybody. If there's any questions, we can answer those. I actually have a bottle of Jeremy's Chardonnay here right on the, here's some product pushing.
Can I mention one more thing that was really helpful to us? And
Absolutely.
That was looking back at our existing customers. My first line of defense was looking at people that have already purchased our products. There's plenty of opportunities to market beyond them, but that's the low-hanging fruit, at least for my company. Looking at that existing customer list, the email list that we've got, and really target that first before starting to look at broader markets. That, for my size and my own internal creative team, which is me, that was my best approach.
Sure. If you have a question, feel free to use the chat feature at the bottom of your Zoom window. You can chat that directly to me or to the group. So here's a question that we just received. If I don't have an e-commerce website right now, where do I start? So great question. So, you don't have a developing team, you don't have a website team. So what do? You want to make sure that you can set up some sort of turnkey solution like an Amazon storefront, which you can do very quickly. You can also do a mini turnkey out of the box e-commerce websites that can get you up and running very quickly. Now, many of us are not privy and focused on marketing like an agency would be. So I would encourage you to reach out to us. We can talk through the details and the steps you'd want to take to get your product online. But now's the time to do it. So if you're thinking, what do I do? You need to get online. Now's the time to provide and present product on the internet. We've got another comment coming in here. What are the do's and don'ts for brands looking to be authentic? Well, to be authentic, you have to be human. You've got to be real, right? So that means not using overly sophisticated, overly polished photography. You can take pictures with your iPhone. You can take pictures on a very basic camera. Another way to be authentic online is through social media live streaming. People want to see behind the scenes. They want to get to know who the brand is, who you are. Doing a live stream on Facebook or Instagram is a great way to be showing how authentic, how real, how human your brand is. I've got another question coming in here. How often should I be posting to social media? What's too much? If I'm a consumer brand, if I'm a business-to-business brand. Well, here's the deal. Depending on the platform, you want to post at least daily. People are scrolling through their feeds, looking at hundreds of posts and feeds on a daily basis. So if you're selling a product, if you are an active consumer brand, I would highly consider you planning on posting at least one time a day, if not multiple. But you want to have a plan behind this. So this isn't wild, wild west, willy-nilly. Have a strategy, have a plan. Once again, we can assist with that. We've got a lot of great content on our website that talks about social media strategy, talks about how to build a content calendar, but have a plan, but be consistent, be frequent, reach people on a daily basis if you can. Now, Jeremy, what have you done with social media that you feel like has been extremely helpful for the brand?
I think you touched on it a little bit, that authenticity is really like connecting with your customers, talking to them directly. It's been initially when we started out with our social media program, I had started with the wine industry tends to be tight and polished. And that's always been kind of my background and approach to it. And we hired a director of social media internally, and her aesthetic was a little bit different. It was softer. It was more less professionally polished feeling. And initially I gave her a whole brand guideline. I said, this is the colors I want you to use. These are the fonts I want you to use. These are the photography. And what I quickly found is that people really were not responding to my hyper polished parts of it. And they were really responding to her very personal and in-depth. And so that's been, just be relaxed, be yourself, post it. Don't worry about the flubs and the little mistakes you might make on camera. People actually really like that. We've posted up a video that we've shot together, live streamed, and then she'll post some of the outtakes that we've done on it, and people absolutely have loved the outtakes.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, I've got another comment coming in here. For a company starting from scratch in the digital space, where should we get started as far as platforms? What are the essentials in getting started? First and foremost is a website. Nowadays, if you're a brand of any sort, you've got to have a digital presence. Now, it doesn't have to be overly sophisticated, but having a digital presence is absolutely key. But talking about consumer sales, talking about product sales, and if you are reaching a female at-home or millennial consumer, those consumers are on social media. Probably more important than your home website is social media presence and content. That's where people are spending so much of their time. As we talked about some of that data, people are reviewing brand social media profiles and social media feed before they even check out their website. They're following influencers who are using that product before they even consider purchasing the product through your website. So I would definitely start with your web presence and then really think about the platforms that make sense, the social media platforms that make sense for your brand. Well, we're at the top of the hour here. I want to respect everyone's time. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us on the call. Thank you all for joining us on this webinar. I would encourage you to sign up for the third webinar in our webinar series on Tuesday, April 7th, with our digital marketing director. He'll be talking about how Facebook and Instagram can ignite your sales through social media. Everyone have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.